live in San Francisco with Kervin Brisseaux. He's here from New York.
Hello,
Very
hello.
exciting. And it's his first Adobe live stream, so everyone be really nice in the chat.
It's okay, you don't have to be that nice.
I can tell
Fine.
he's kind of sensitive.
I mean, a little bit. Blame my coworkers for that one. Very rude.
And we're so excited to see all of you joining. And at 9:30 PST, which is our time, but in 30 minutes, we're gonna do a chat and win. So stay in the chat and you'll have an opportunity to win a prize if you're active in the chat. And I wanna hear where all of you are from. So we're here in San Francisco, Kervin came from New York. Let us know what country you're from, what city. We love to see how far we can reach. Hey Enrique, hi Patricia.
What's up, Pollyanna?
Hi Pollyanna, hi Jessica. Hi, Nathan. Okay, so Nashville, Denver, Maryland, Cleveland, Panama, Aruba, Mississippi, Tampa, Dublin, Ireland, Copenhagen.
Arkansas, look at that. Athens, Greece, wow. Oh,
Athens, Georgia.
Georgia,
Yeah.
there you go.
I'm from Athens, Greece.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But Athens, Georgia is great too. Just different. Are you seeing any places you've visited?
Yeah, a few. Actually, more like European places for sure. Definitely been to Canada, though not Toronto. Blah family in Montreal.
Oh yeah.
New Jersey,
I
of
love
course.
Montreal.
Been to Seoul. Seoul's pretty awesome. Never been to Texas though. I've been wanting to, especially Austin. That's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
I always hear about Austin.
Yeah, I've been to San Jose. Midwest though, I need to do like a road trip through the Midwest. I did a road trip recently in the West Coast, but the Midwest would be the next spot for sure.
That's good goal.
There's one of my coworkers right there. What up, Joe?
Oh, everyone's joining.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining, and we want to see you still say where you're from. And we're getting all over the world. We just got Bangladesh, Brazil, France. Danielle says heaven is in Iowa.
Oh, really?
I need to go to Iowa and see.
Yeah.
And don't forget, this week on Adobe Live, we have a lot more for you. So today is a packed day. We've got Kervin right now, 11 a.m. We have Sarah Stewart, 1 p.m. Katya Austin, and at 3 p.m. we have Daichi Ito. So make sure you stay tuned. This is happening today, tomorrow, and Thursday. So us two will be here again tomorrow morning. And we hope to see all of you again. We hope to see new people too. So let's start with what we're gonna do today.
Yeah, sure.
We have a cool project to show everyone.
We do. So, so what I'm gonna introduce you guys is sort of my process in terms of photographic takeover. I have like kind of two distinct styles right now. One being sort of photographic takeover, typically of fashion imagery. And then after that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do like a full illustration from scratch. I'll come in with the sketch and then we'll do like a bit of like an exploration of inking and coloration as well. Mainly within Sketch and Adobe Draw. And then hopefully, if there's time, we'll move it into the desktop and show you guys how that process works too.
Cool. So what is your first step when you're using an image? How do you find it?
So typically, I do like a lot of research in terms of the internet, or maybe I'll find like a really cool image on Instagram, or even just go on Adobe Stock as well. So what I'll typically do is, I'll just start like a new format. And how I pick my format is it's just subjective to what I envision the composition to be.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason really behind it. And kind of the social media aspect is kind of a post-rationalization after the fact. Like I just want to pick a format that works, and then I'll think about how it'll fit in social media afterwards. Especially
Is social media the main way that your art will be shown?
Social media, Behance, especially like on my website as well.
Yeah.
Those are like the three main things. Social media is kind of nice because it allows for that kind of audience engagement, just to see how people gauge the work, and then if people have questions, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So let's see, for now, we'll just pick a portrait format. So we could do something pretty huge here. Let's go with like the A2, it's usually pretty good. And then typically what I'll do is I'll just go over my image layer and I'll find something in Adobe Stock, for example. And I'll do a quick search, like let's say I want to find some like street fashion.
Got a lot more people joining. We've got the Bronx, a few people from New York, and Minneapolis.
Ricardo says, great Instagram Kervin. Thanks, Ricardo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll like go through here and like just try to find some images. And this process typically takes about like a half hour to maybe even up to an hour. Just depends on if there's anything that I find.
An hour?
Yeah, it can. But
Oh.
luckily, I've done research already. I have one chosen, so
Oh, good.
you don't gotta wait
Because,
around for that
you
long.
know, yeah. I mean, we'd love to help you, but
Yeah, I don't think you guys came around here just to look at me research images for an hour. So let's go back.
Alan says you're a great artist.
Oh, well, thank you, Alan. Thanks a lot. Let me see who is it?
Alan McBroom.
McBroom.
McBroom
Bay. Thanks.
Oh.
What up, Jonas? So Jonas is one of our interns from the company I work at, Vault 49, which I'll tell you guys more about that later. It's a really, really cool company.
Jonas.
All right, so let's see. I'll go on my iPad because I have it downloaded already. Camera roll. And I went with this one because I kind of really like the kind of superhero pose she has going on right now.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of just keep that here.
Do you ever take your own photographs, or do you always?
I do take my own photographs, but I haven't taken anything yet that I would like to work on. I think that's like kind of like the next step for me is kind of taking more ownership of the whole process. I did recently get into photography really like in the last couple years, especially within film. And I've gotten into the digital photography stuff for a little while longer, but film has really gotten me like, I have a newfound love for photography now with film. Cool. I like the kind of noise you get from it and like kind of not knowing what you're gonna get kind of thing. It's kind of like playing a bit of Russian roulette with your films, and there's only like so much you can do with 35 shots, so I kind of enjoy that process. But yeah, so once I have my image set up, you know, the initial process is just kind of laying down the pencils and just seeing what I'm doing in terms of my design. So here I'll like kind of pick my brushes. And this process, like I kind of do just fine with the default brushes that Sketch has to offer. I kind of like to work with like a blue because typically what I'll do is I'll go over with like a light pencil treatment just to get like the rough shapes and try to see if I can crack the composition. If there's any sort of other elements like animals, I tend to really like to draw like animals or like fantasy creatures, things of that sort with my stuff to kind of bolster the whole imagery. And
so
then,
you took the opacity down.
Yeah, I took it down a little bit.
Are you gonna keep it down?
Just for like the initial process, of like laying down the shapes and whatnot, and then once I start completing the inking, adding colors, then I'll bring that image back up. Yeah, so let's just start sketching some stuff now on it. Here, this photo kind of makes my life a little bit easier because she's already wearing a jacket. If you notice on my Instagram, you'll notice that I like to like provide like some kind of street fashion, sort of augmented reality approach to my work. So I don't really need to overthink too much in terms of how it'll fit her shape, but maybe I'll give her some more sort of exaggerated features.
Hey Brian, so if you go on the challenge tab, it does say you can use Photoshop or Photoshop Sketch for the challenge. So, speaking of the challenge, everyone on the chat, go on your challenge tab at the top on the right, and you will see the awesome challenge we have ready for you today. We'll be looking at all of your submissions throughout these couple hours up until 30 minutes before close, so 10:30 Pacific time. Kervin and I will look at what you've prepared, and using Kyle Webster's Mermaid Brush Kit, we're asking you to create and share an illustration of a mermaid or merman using Photoshop or Photoshop Sketch and submit it through the tool here, and we can't wait to see what you make. Whoever is picked in each session can win a year of Creative Cloud. So that's a pretty good motivation, if you ask me, to be illustrating. And throughout this session, I'm going to be looking at your submissions. When you submit something, it'll show up for me, and I'll show Kervin, and we'll discuss it. And I hope by the end that we have a few to choose from to give you guys a year of Creative Cloud. So let me know if you're submitting for the challenge. Let's see who's joining. Hi, Renee. Hi, Margarita. Hi, Faith in Dallas. Sue Lee is watching live from Malaysia.
Wow.
Misha says, East Village, NYC. What up? Hey, Misha.
East Village. So be sure to, you've got a new Target opening in East Village. I recommend checking that out when it opens up.
A new Target?
Yeah, a new Target store. So we have Vault. We do like a lot of murals and whatnot.
Oh.
We do it a
Vault
lot.
49?
Vault 49, yeah. So
Okay.
that's kind of like embedded in our DNA. We did a lot of street art, and that's how the founders got their calling. They both went to school together, and so they decided to work together. And how they kind of skyrocketed to fame was basically they fly posted a bunch of buildings. They wouldn't put their names on it, of course, but
Yeah.
one of the buildings that they did happened to be the building of Dazed and Confused. And so what happened was, instead of getting in trouble for it, one of their interns recognized the style because it was so distinct and called them out on it and basically gave them work from it. They had to do like a whole exhibition, I think, and basically they became famous overnight, for lack of a better
Wow.
term. And there was a project that brought them to New York. And so they loved the city so much that they were just like, you know what? I mean, why go back? Let's just stay here and just kind of build the vault, like the sort of vault family from
Yeah.
here. So 15 years later, they're about 30 people strong now. And when I started, we were about maybe 10 or 12 people. And it's
Okay.
grown quite a bit to not just illustration, but now fully like branding, 360 campaigns. We do a lot of really cool stuff for a lot of really cool clients. So
That's great. So check it out. Vault 49 is where Kervin works.
yeah,
How many years have you been there?
been there 6 years, going on 7 now, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, been there a while.
So we've got Mohammed from Morocco, Victoria from Canada, Joanna from Scotland, Indonesia, Nebraska, Belgium, Colombia, France. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Barsha. Lucy says, yes, Curve. Does
Yes,
she know you?
yeah. She's also she's also one of my coworkers. Yeah, you'll see. I told you, you'll see them peppering in every once in a while.
Yeah, they're peppering in. Tima from Mars. We always like to have intergalactic chats. And make sure you stay tuned because in about 15 minutes, we're going to do a chat and win. So as long as you stay active in the chat, you'll be able to win a prize. And I'll let you know when that's happening. Antonio from Guatemala.
What up, Antonio?
Ricardo from Portugal loves your Instagram.
Thanks, Ricardo. Who was it from Mars? Someone said they were from Mars. Is that
Tima.
her, right? What's your
Yeah.
favorite sci-fi film? Tima from Mars. I love science fiction. That's like a really, it's like one of my hobbies to watch a good sci-fi flick.
Yeah. What's your favorite?
Ooh, I don't know. Like I tend to really like the old school greats. Obviously, is like Matrix, Star Wars. I mean, but then there's like some off the beaten path type stuff, like some really
Yeah.
like sort of like The Fifth Element is probably my ultimate favorite.
Oh,
I love
yeah,
that
that's a
movie.
classic.
Fifth Element is, I could watch that movie every day. I never get bored of it. Recent ones, I really enjoyed the latest Blade Runner. The Blade Runner movie was like, I think it was kind
2049.
of, yeah, that was kind of underestimated. I think it deserved
Yeah.
to get a lot more attention than it did. It was really well done.
I feel like it had a lot of pressure. Like the expectations were so high.
Super high, yeah. And you know what? Credit to them because they, instead of like kind of like, you know, a lot of times when you do an old school remake like that, like I mean, Star Wars does that, right? It's all about the nostalgia. Like they kind of do a
Yeah.
lot of callbacks to sort of classic moments or classic characters, and they did that, but only to sort of benefit the story in a certain extent. And I really enjoyed how intelligent and the pacing seemed right, and it wasn't so heavy on the typical sci-fi gimmicks. They really focused on story there, and like the sci-fi was just something that was like kind of like a background element, you know.
Yeah.
It was just a
That's
good
how
story.
it should be.
Yeah.
Ricardo says, I love Moon. Do you know that film?
That's the one where it's with Sam Rockwell, isn't it? Where I don't want to say any spoilers, but yeah, I think I know what he's talking about. It's about a guy who has to stay on the moon.
Oh.
He's like there by himself or something, and yeah, it actually takes a pretty interesting turn.
You know what I saw last Friday? The iconic Stanley Kubrick film, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah,
Which was celebrating its 50th anniversary. So they had like a special showing at this theater.
yeah.
And it was real. I had never seen it, and it was crazy what they were able to do in 1968. Like the effects are amazing.
I had to study that film in depth for architecture
Oh,
because my
really?
thesis was in space, and I had to have an understanding of why they made the design decisions that they did.
Yeah.
Kubrick is a smart dude, so like that sort of
yeah.
centripetal design had to do with how gravity would work in space theoretically. So like if you have like this object that's constantly spinning, you can basically simulate gravity, but people are kind of almost looks like they're moving along the wall
Yeah.
because of how the force is going towards the center. That's my basic lack of physics. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
that's as much physics as you're gonna get from me. But yeah.
Yeah, it was cool to see because you can see how much was influenced by that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of people are giving us, okay, Danielle says, have you seen Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets?
I did, and that was another Luc Besson film. So Fifth Element was Luc Besson. I saw
okay.
Valerian. I have to say, I definitely prefer Fifth Element. I feel like, I mean, visually, it's probably the most beautiful film you could ever see in a cinema, especially on IMAX. But I think the story could have been.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if they were. I feel like he was trying to do like another Fifth Element.
Yeah.
And I feel that it was super ambitious, but for me, it kind of fell short. I don't know what you thought about it, but for me, I think Valerian could have gone a different direction story-wise. Yeah.
Earlier, Siobhan was saying that seeing you using the blue color,
Yeah.
it was reminiscent of like comic book artists using blue that doesn't get picked up.
It's funny you say that because that's what got me into picking the blue color in the first place. It's just like, especially when you do any sort of art creation, when you're doing screen printing, you always start with like kind of like the lighter colors first, because then you build up the values. So,
okay.
And almost like in a way, especially old school people who just, before even the digital thing, like blue is just like a good way to like not be so caught up on your mistakes, because it's so light and faint.
Yeah.
You can always go over it again, erase, like there's
That
less.
was a good call
risk.
then on the chat.
Yeah, and it's
didn't
funny
think
you
of
say that too, because if you look at my work, I tend to do like a lot of speech bubbles, stuff like that.
Okay.
And I'm kind of borrowing more from like that sort of old school comic style, fused with some like sci-fi influences as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Robzilla is here.
Yo, what
Says
up,
hi.
Rob Zilla? That's my boy.
I also caught that there was someone from Greece on the chat, which makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Kostadinos. Yasu Kostadine.
What does that mean?
Hi.
All right. Yeah, makes sense. You know, I went to visit Amsterdam for I was there for like about a week. And like, you know, every country you're in, you kind of want to learn what hello is.
Yeah.
And I could never figure it out because I kept saying it in English. And of course, after finally like just putting myself out and just asking some random people on the street, they're just like, you just say hello. Like, that's just how you say it.
Oh, they just say the same word.
It's just the same thing, yeah. I was just expecting something totally different.
That's funny. Prince says, big fan. Brandon says, I love having this in the background at work. Nico, akomienas. Another Greek guy.
So now I'm just like,
Alex just got here. Welcome. You've missed a lot of conversation about sci-fi movies, and
yes, I can talk about that all day.
for everybody else that's also joining now, we started out with an image from Adobe stock. It's just something that is simple. He liked that this girl has this superhero pose.
Yeah.
And he has just started sketching on Photoshop Sketch on the iPad using the Apple Pencil.
Yep.
And started with blue, and we're gonna build up. What's the next color gonna be? Do you know yet, or is it?
Well, yeah. So I typically go with blue. So I'll show you right now. So I've kind of got my basic forms in there. So I'll just merge these two layers in, merge down. I tend to try to optimize as much as I can. I'll make a new layer, and then I'll just convert the pencil to a red now, which is like, but now like red has a much stronger value, and so now I can kind of further refine what my details are in terms of the seam. Sometimes I'll also fade the blue as well, just a bit, just so that my view isn't too obstructed, and then I'll start to refine. Like, this will basically be a much closer representation of what the black would operate in.
So red on blue makes it look like black.
So basically, like what the red lines are doing, once I'll trace it over again with a black ink. But then what I'm trying to do with the red is kind of nail exactly how I want my like shapes to behave.
Okay.
Pretty much, and there'll still be room for refinement. Like, because it's digital, that's kind of like the convenience is you could still, there's a lot of room for error, of course.
Oh yeah.
You can undo,
Definitely.
you can do all kinds of stuff. But here is where I'm like trying to solve. Okay, like let's see how I want some of these lines to behave a bit more. And again, since she's already wearing a jacket, it's kind of like cheating a little bit, which is which is always nice. So I can focus more on like the design of the jacket itself rather than the anatomy.
Right.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
can like be a bit more creative with how the details come together and whatnot.
Yeah. Brian says, my brother pencils comic books, and I do not have his skill. But
I
check
probably
out
don't
his
have your
work.
brother's skill either. I'm sure your brother's way better than me.
His
believe me.
brother is MD Bright.
MD Bright. I have to
Check
look
it
that
out.
up. Yeah.
And so I had a question about the challenge for today. So if you go on your challenge tab, you'll see that our challenge for today is to go using Photoshop or Photoshop Sketch, using Kyle Webster's new mermaid brushes, and to create an illustration of a merman or a mermaid. And we'll be looking at those throughout the stream. So by the end of this session, we will pick a winner to win Creative Cloud. And then you'll have a chance in the next session as well throughout the day. But I would love to see something come in during this session. So please submit something.
Yes.
We'd love to
please
see
do.
what you create. And Kervin's going to give his feedback as well. So it's an
Right.
opportunity.
Once in a lifetime opportunity to get feedback from me. Well, at least for this week.
Take your chance. Take it. Let's see. What else is happening in the chat? I love seeing people joining. Patricia says, I just checked out the brushes. I love them.
For the Kyle Webster brushes.
I think so. Patricia, have you used Kyle's brushes before? I'm asking Patricia, but you can also say.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Actually, I really like what Kyle's doing, man. Those brushes are pretty sick. So, before discovering his brushes that he did for the whole CC
Yeah.
membership, I was just using like the default brushes that Sketch had to offer. It just seemed fine, but I really enjoy the kind of physics he developed. I'm not sure how he does it, but it's just everything he does is really good. And yeah, I've been like my favorite brush collection right now is the manga brushes. I really enjoy that, and like he's got some halftone treatments that I really like using too. So yeah, that's infused its way into my process lately. So now you can see here how before like it was just like a bunch of scribbles, just kind of
Yeah.
seeing, just a rough shape. And again, like having the photo underneath definitely helps crack the anatomy rather quickly, so I can just focus on details. And so now I'm kind of further refining how the black will operate with the red, and then I'll just go over with the red.
Do you know what the final color is going to be?
In terms of the actual color of the jacket, no, not yet. And you know what? That'll be the fun part. I think what I'll do is I'll try to quickly do the black inking, and then we can quickly go over the draw and maybe just let the people see. Like I'll put up a few options, and maybe we'll just pick a color format that works from CC Capture, maybe. That might be fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get feedback from the chat.
Damn
what
right.
colors they like.
Let's see here.
Do you do lettering on Sketch as well?
Yeah, very simple stuff. So like I like doing speech bubbles and stuff like that, or I'll do like little call outs like NYC. Let me see if I have like a quick little.
I saw mostly like
Example.
all caps stuff.
Yeah, so like for example here, so like I'll do like just random little treatments, very crude, very rough, but I kind of like that sort of street art style.
Did you ever do street art?
No, never did. I drew a lot, but never had the balls to kind of go out and just like kind of take over a wall. Yeah, that's something that I definitely would love to get into more. Like obviously thanks to Vault, I've gotten to do more murals. And I could definitely see myself doing that a lot more. But as of right now, my street art cred is very limited.
Well, you work with people who've done it, so you've got
Exactly.
an association.
Yeah, we bring in a lot of talented people. Actually, it's pretty awesome, and that's kind of what helped me grow since joining as well. Just being constantly surrounded. Like, it started off just joining art collectives, circa 2000. Like joining art collectives like Deathcore and things of that sort, which was like a project run by Justin Maller, really talented artist too, and a close friend. And then joining Vault like a few years later, that was like definitely a life-changing experience in terms of my career, just because I'm just kind of like doing it over the internet is one thing, which was like
Yeah.
the thing back then. Like you'd have DeviantArt and you had all these different forums and stuff, talking with like-minded digital artists. But then going to a place like Vault, which is like in the flesh, face to face, witnessing people do their process. Like I've had the pleasure of working with the likes of Luke Choice, who's Velvet Spectrum. Some of you guys might know. I've had the pleasure of working with Daniel Trendle, Karan Singh. All of these are like sort of Vault alumni that have kind of moved on and to bigger careers. And it's still very much a part of the Vault family. And even nowadays, I work with a lot of really, really talented people. All three of which you've met so far: Joe, Lucy, Jonas, but also guys like Rodolfo, Tom Mack. Really, really talented people. Yeah. So it's kind of
great.
cool, like being constantly surrounded by those types of artists.
Yeah. So a couple of you have been asking. We're on Photoshop Sketch right now on the iPad using an Apple Pencil. Adolfo says you're awesome. And we have
What up, Adolfo?
we have 3 minutes until the chat and win. So stay in the chat. We'll be doing a little giveaway of a couple items for you. And if you stay in there, you will be randomly selected. Brandon did an internship at Vault 49.
Yes,
Great
he
summer.
did. What is up, Brandon? Yeah. No. We have an internship program at Vault 49 where we get to bring in like a lot of young, talented people. Typically right out of school, but
Yeah.
age range tends to vary. And yeah, Brandon was a really, really cool guy to have in the office.
Nice. Hi, Mohammed. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Melissa. So I'll let you know when the chat and win is starting, and then
Hey, there's Rodolfo right there. What up, Rudy? He's also a Vault 49 artist.
oh,
And
cool.
he's our CCO, like Chief Craft Officer, so he like kind of oversees a lot of like the screen printing that we're doing now, and the mural stuff as well. Like he was in charge of the Target project that I was telling you about.
Okay.
That mural that's gonna launch in.
I've never been so
July.
excited about a Target store.
Well, when it opens, you'll see it and you'll be like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's kind of funny, like when you work on something on a screen for so long in our industry, right? Like in our line of work, to kind of see it blown up on a wall, like that's the kind of surreal thing to witness.
Yeah.
It's like large scale. That's why I kind of was really into architecture back in the day, was because just
see.
having that idea of kind of creating something that would be quite tangible and kind of affect like the whole sort of construct of a local space is pretty. It was pretty wild in my mind. So that's why I stuck with it for so long.
Yeah. Hey, Matthew from San Diego. Okay, so the giveaways I have for you, which is the chat and win is going to start in 1 minute, are very special. So who loves Adobe Illustrator in the chat? I do. I hope all of you do too, and I'm sure you do. We have an Illustrator pin. It's very cute. It can be worn anywhere on yourself, on your bag, to show your love for this wonderful app. We also have Adobe Photoshop Sketch sticker and a draw sticker. So this is going to start in 30 seconds. You'll see a video come up on the screen, and then you can start chatting and be in the running to win these awesome little gifts. And to give you some inspiration of what to say in the chat, what should they tell us? 'Cause there's going to be a lot of chatting once the chat and win thing comes on.
What should they tell us?
You have 10 seconds to think of something.
Think of something. Well, it puts you on the spot. I have no idea now. Now I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a total blank.
Tell us your favorite sci-fi movie.
Favorite sci-fi movie?
Not you.
Me?
I mean, you can.
You already
I'm just
know.
saying that.
Oh, but they need to tell me,
Yeah.
and then I'll pick
Fifth
the one I know.
Element.
Yeah, that was mine.
That's yours. And then the chat and win is going to start now, and you guys can tell us.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Nice, everyone. Which one was the one? Oh, Spaceballs. That's so funny.
Spaceballs was that was a good choice.
Yeah.
That was a good choice, I have to say.
Inception, Guardians of the Galaxy, Tron, Blade
Scooby-Doo. All right. Someone out of left field.
Terminator, Star Wars, Interstellar.
Oh yeah, Interstellar's
that's a good one.
Too.
Ghost in the Shell.
Ooh, yeah. Now we're going into my territory. Ghost in the Shell,
more
Akira.
obscure references.
Yeah.
Probably
Not that
obscure,
obscure.
just for me.
If you're into anime, Ghost in the Shell is like boilerplate.
Kyle Webster likes Moon.
Yeah.
We heard that earlier.
Yeah, Moon is a great one. Moon is a really, really good one.
Rob Zilla's favorite movie is Zilla.
Of course it would be. Such a comedian, that dude. He's always got jokes.
Okay, we have a winner, everyone. The winner is Greg Taylor. Woo, Greg! You get these awesome gifts. Okay, so you've got your little stickers. Tell us where you're gonna put these stickers. Your laptop, a notebook. You could stick them on yourself, and then just never take them off.
Yeah, like almost
possible.
like a tattoo.
And then you've got a pin. Congratulations, Greg. Thanks for being in the chat and watching. It's very great, exciting to have all you guys.
So now I'm gonna try to add something to this to give it a bit more environment building. I want to add like a wolf or something to it, like give her like a little pet, I guess.
So Kervin is searching for wolf snarls.
Yeah, like, kind of like a reference. Yeah. So if you're like me, there's like I still have like a lot to learn in terms of illustration. Like, that's why you need to practice every day and keep learning. It's very difficult to draw without a reference. I feel I need to look at something.
Definitely.
To make sure that I'm drawing it correctly. Otherwise, I'll be here forever. So yeah, just looking at some wolf snarls, just getting some references. That looks like a nice one.
Do you ever search for illustrations of something? Because I find it hard to illustrate from the real thing sometimes, and I'm like, how did other illustrators interpret this?
That's an awesome question. Yes, I definitely do, especially looking at some of my favorites, like Otomo Katsuhiro, when it comes to like more tech like stuff. To capture expressions, I'll just look at fine artists as well. Like if I'm trying to draw something as simple as like a lip bite, I see the lip bite, but I'm not getting, because like there's these general gestural lines that'll immediately capture it. And so looking at the greats, how they draw it, I'm like, oh, of course. So it's just, that's the hard thing about drawing from life, is you have to learn how to break down the basic geometries.
Definitely. Like, what am I seeing that makes this a wolf?
Exactly.
Is it like you might start drawing the fur for an hour, but then all you did is draw fur? Exactly.
And a lot of times, like if you look at the greats, they'll block out the thing first before going into the actual details. So there's some amazing people out there that don't have to do that. Like who's one? There's like a Korean artist. If the name comes to me, I'll mention it later. But he'll just be able to draw just straight with like a brush pen, like entire murals and just straight black, no reference. He'll draw everything from the top of his head, and it is absolutely insane to see. If the name comes to me, maybe I'll bring it up on the next day. But it's pretty awesome seeing stuff like that. But I, for one, cannot do that.
Yeah.
I need a reference, and I need to make sure that I'm
Kim
doing things right.
Jong-ji?
Yes. Kim Jong-ji, that's the one. Who was that? Ricardo? Yeah.
Jeff said it.
Oh, Kyle said it first.
Said it.
And Jeff actually said it before Kyle. Yeah, Kim Jong-ji, that's the one. Just like, when you look at people that can do that, you just hate yourself for a second, and it's just like, I feel like you'll never, like I would never get that good. Like, however he does it, it's just incredible. But it's a great way to learn, like watching them draw and like do their stuff.
Yes, the chat hive mind. Hi, Tim.
Let's see here.
So we have a couple questions. Like Ahmed is asking, where should I start from if I want to do illustrations? You said that you started in architecture.
I did, but that's the long way to go.
I know. No, don't do this.
Don't do that.
Don't try this at home. But did you ever have illustration training formally?
No,
Besides architecture?
Like pretty much anyone who's in this industry, I started like really, really little. Just like doing terrible doodles since I was like 5, maybe even younger, of just animals, people, anything. And I kind of always wondered where that artistic inclination came from. And my uncle used to be an artist, actually. He was very like craft minded, so he would build me toys just out of nothing. I'm
Yeah.
originally from Haiti, so whenever we would go to Haiti, my uncle he built me like an ice cream truck just out of like found cardboard boxes and like had like makeshift paintbrushes and like
Wow.
built me this massive ice cream truck out of nothing. So I figured I got that kind of creative inclination on my mom's side.
Yeah.
But my dad is kind of interesting too in that he's kind of creatively inclined in different ways. Like he really likes to play guitar, things of that sort. So yeah, it kind of comes from both sides, I guess. But for me, like constantly drawing is where I got my start. Never had like a proper illustration class. I did have an art teacher in high school though. She was kind of paving the way for me a
It's
little
crazy
bit.
how much art teachers influence people. Like a lot of artists I hear talking about one art teacher in school that changed their life or helped them, like foster that in them.
Absolutely. And the only regret, if any, is that I kind of wish I dug a little deeper in terms of what I could have done in college, just in terms of what my options were. Because architecture was kind of like the happy medium to make myself happy, make the folks happy, being like a
Yeah.
first generation American. You
Yeah.
kind of have these expectations put upon you as to be a doctor,
Lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. So you understand. So
Yeah.
basically, when I discovered architecture, it was like a nice way to bring in the mathematics and the science, but also still be able to design and illustrate. So,
Yeah.
and then eventually, as we talked about before the cameras went on, like my focus in architecture tends to be more visual than theoretical or practical, and so you can kind of see it in my work where like my focus is like.
Yeah. So everyone, we have less than an hour left for your challenge submissions. So I would love to see something come in while we're here in this session. Look on, when you're in the chat, on the challenge tab on the top right. It's to draw a mermaid or a merman using Kyle Webster's new brushes. So I really want to see you guys create something. Please submit things because you will be eligible to win a year of Creative Cloud. That's a big prize.
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
I want to
serious.
see someone who deserves to win it, and I want to see some submissions. All right, let's see what else is happening. Okay, everyone's saying, just start drawing, to get started. Just draw everything. That's a great piece of advice.
Exactly. Just draw.
Just practice.
And the thing is, don't worry about messing up. That's one thing that it took me a while to realize is
Yeah.
like messing up is okay. You're not gonna draw it perfectly. Like a lot of people like have these sketchbooks and just try to be so sacred with it.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of a sketchbook. It's kind of like a diary. Like
Totally.
you have to allow yourself to mess up and have these pages that just look absolutely awful, because then you'll really appreciate the process of getting good, right? And it's something that even I'm still like reminding
Learning.
myself of.
Yeah. Do you think that social media has hindered that because people just want to share perfect things so they're not working on the process enough?
That's actually a good question. I feel like people, I mean, it's great to have an audience, but I think people care too much about the audience thinks about as well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, think of the times when you've posted something and then you lose followers. It happens almost every time, right? But then at the same time, you have to like kind of decide like what's more important, the journey of yourself or like the satisfaction of your audience. And I think for me, the journey is definitely more important. And like you're always gonna have an audience. Like that's not something to worry about. If you're constantly producing work, there's gonna be people out there that'll like it. So
My family still likes it.
oh yeah, that's congratulations.
Yeah.
I still don't know if my
I'll
parents know
always have
exactly what I'm
them.
doing.
Do your parents have Instagram?
No, I'm kind of thankful for that actually. 'Cause my mom is love it. She's probably watching right now. Hey mom, I love you, but yeah, no, I don't want her to be honest.
That's funny. Kelly says, I started drawing in church. Mom would give me a folded piece of paper on a hymn book to keep me quiet during service. It was her
Oh, okay.
go-to. That's great. Do you use a screen protector that's like a matte
You know
thing
what?
for your iPad?
I definitely do not. I should, but yeah.
Yeah, I've heard
a
those
screen
are
protector
cool.
is actually really cool. And I as you notice, I'm not really working on a mount. I tend to work on a flat, just keeping the iPad flat. But
Yeah.
especially for like the Cintiq users, this can be like a bit of a weird adjustment. Going from like a Cintiq to like using something like this, only because it's all about just like getting used to the physics of it, I think, as well.
Yeah.
It really just comes down to, like, for example, one of our interns, Jonas, the one who's working with us now, he's a big Cintiq user, and since joining our office, he's had to transition to the iPad, and he's definitely used to it now, but it's it's kind of funny how people like stick to their guns,
Yeah.
and making that switch can sometimes be there can be a bit of a reluctancy to it for sure.
So we're on Photoshop Sketch right now, and we're using the Apple Pencil and the pencil brush on Sketch. And the next, later on, the step will be to go into Draw and fill this out. And we don't know exactly what form that's going to take, but I hope you stay with us to discover and give your feedback.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, especially when it comes to choosing those colors. That's probably like the fun part. Once like the base sketch is done, like especially a lot of illustrators will realize this, most of the work is the setup, right? Like that's like where it all comes from, is laying down the pencils, however crude it may be. And man, my pencils can look really, really rough, like just very crude. But having that setup down, however long it takes, kind of comes together much more quickly. Unless you're Kim Jong-ji and you don't have to do that.
We can't all be like him.
Yeah, no, not at all. He's a very special breed of illustrator.
Diane says, I started as a traditional printmaker.
Oh, cool.
That makes you think in flat graphic terms, like relief and lithograph printing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That does help with visualizing from a real thing to an illustration, just paring it down to those basic lines.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree.
So, whoever's working on a challenge entry, make sure you submit through the challenge tab on the top right of the chat if you're on behance.net/live. And there is a form to share your illustration. It's very simple, and once you share it through there, it'll show up for me. So I can't wait. I'm waiting to see these come in. Amanda says, any tips for having cleaner lines?
Cleaner lines. What do you mean, like when you try to ink or like add like the black line work, stuff like that? Because as you can tell right here, like my pencils are really, really rough. Like they're super crude. But then that's like a baseline for me to then be able to draw over it. If you're talking about maybe just like the steadiness of your hand, I think that just comes with practice, to be honest. Like even I don't have that great of a steady hand, even on digital. Like it just the more you do it, just the better it gets, and it feels more natural. And you get quicker too, the more you do it also. I'm sure there's some other pros in the chat that'll definitely want me on that one.
Rob says wash your pencil. That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need a cleaner pencil? Just wash it. Do you guys have any other questions for his process?
Yeah,
or
I'm trying to
just generally, this is an opportunity once in a lifetime until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow, yeah. Then I'll be back and ask again.
Yeah. Prince is laughing.
I'm glad he digs our sense of humor.
So there's a link to the Mermaid brush kit on the challenge tab so that you can add those brushes. Heidi is asking about your photo takeover. Is it just for social media, or are those commissioned? Do you monetize
Both.
that?
I get both. Like it started off as just like a personal project. Like a while ago, I did this series called Acid Fashion, which you could probably see it. You'll see it on my Behance if you go on there. And it was just a personal thing where, because I was really interested by people who would just do something daily or like at least bi-weekly, just constantly just creating for the sake of creation. And I did it for myself because I was one of those people who kind of kept the final result too precious. Like I wanted it to look perfect. So that series was what got me going into like, you know what? It's just about just laying some ideas down. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
To see how it looks. And don't worry about the audience per se. Just like post it and just see what sticks. And I did about maybe like 100 illustrations of that. And you can kind of see the evolution of the process from like the first one to like the end. What's nice about that is you tend to get braver and just experiment more and just try different things while trying to keep a very consistent theme going.
Yeah.
So it was nice. It was a very nice sort of approach to it. It started off as an Instagram type thing, but it definitely, doing that definitely allowed more of a more commissions to come in of that nature. Because there's if you look around, like, you've got the Hattie Stewarts, just like all kinds of people that kind of doing photographic takeovers in their own way. So, and none of us are by no means the gatekeeper of that. There's all people have been doing like collage type work forever.
Yeah.
So it's just about what will distinguish them is kind of like how they do it, like what's their sort of visual vernacular. Are they pattern focused, or is it like comic book style? Is it like transformation, things of that sort. We got another question here from Brandon. Do you do these daily experiments only on iPads now, or do you still use computer and tablet? Depends. Nowadays, yeah, it's mostly iPad. I kind of like the feeling of it because it feels like you're drawing on a sketchbook.
What about a sketchbook itself?
Yeah, I do keep
Still
a sketchbook. Yeah, I do keep a sketchbook. That's kind of something personal for me. Like, I just like to practice in it, draw things. It will, like, if you see my sketchbook, it's definitely not a pretty thing. Sometimes I'll have like a magazine cutout and like glue paste it on, like draw on it. But most of the time it's just like me just riffing ideas.
Yeah. So do you use a lot of wolves in your art?
Wolves and dragons seem to be like a very, very common sort of thing for me, I realize.
Alexis says, is there a significance to the wolves?
That's a good question. I think just from an aesthetic standpoint, I like how they look.
Yeah.
I think they just look wicked. And it's the same thing with dragons. I think comes from like my anime inspirations, like Dragon Ball Z, things of that sort that I grew up watching.
Yeah.
And all the other stuff, like just any like sort of four-legged creatures that have like a sense of ferocity about them. I think those are just a lot of fun to do. And sometimes I'll deck them out in like some sort of like street gear as well.
Yeah.
Just to give it like a bit of a tongue-in-cheek approach. Yeah.
That's great. Hi, Juan. I'm Ari. Nice to meet you. Rob is saying, that's great. Self-initiated project. If you start with that, then people will notice you and start commissioning you, and you'll get opportunities to create something in the same style.
Yep.
He says, I've been preaching this.
Yes.
I hear it from so many artists about how they started doing work that they really wanted to do. So I think that's great advice for people starting out. And speaking of creating something, let's see if we have any challenge submissions using the mermaid brushes. I don't think we have any yet, so I'm waiting on them. Sebastian loves Adobe. We love you too. Hi, Tushar. Do we have anyone that joined just now? Let us know where you're from and look on the challenge tab to see the challenge for today. We have 40 minutes left until the challenge submission deadline for our segment. And then you'll have an opportunity in the next live stream that starts right afterwards. Chris says, do you focus on developing a refined idea before drawing, or is it more just letting creativity flow through the process?
Stuff like this, I just let the creativity flow. Like, I'll have like an initial thought in my mind.
Yeah.
That's what'll spark me to start the illustration. But I won't necessarily have it locked down in terms of, okay, it needs to be positioned exactly like this. I'm gonna have the type do something like this. I just know what the theme is.
Yeah.
And then I'll start,
Cool.
riffing. By the way, that was another vaulter.
Oh.
Wise. Yeah. He's
I can tell anyone who calls you Curve.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a giveaway.
Is that what I should call you?
Yeah, sure, if you want. It's not a problem at all.
Okay, so Anna says, I just got in from Hamburg, Germany. Cool.
Nice.
Karina, how frequently do we do these challenges? So we have one challenge for the day. So today you have the opportunity to submit your work either in our stream right now or in the next session or the one after. So you have a few opportunities, and tomorrow is going to be a new challenge. So I think you should stay tuned and see what happens tomorrow too, so that you have more opportunities to win Creative Cloud. You get a free year. What's the brand of your jacket? It's sick.
Oh, I don't know what this jacket, I got it from Urban Outfitters. Can't remember what it's called. I may have a tag in the back if you want to be so kind.
Urban Outfitters.
There you go, Urban Outfitters, yeah. And this is just like
brand.
This is just like a pen, right here. It's just like, it's not part of the jacket.
Art is hard.
It is. It's very, very hard.
That's what the pin says.
Yeah. This is designed by a really close friend of mine who I've known for years, called Michael Mateko. Really, really, really talented artist. Yeah, really, really
That's
sick work.
cool. So Sean just joined and says, I need to learn how to turn a sketch into a final product. Well,
I think it's just about following through, isn't it?
yeah,
Like,
you're watching how something can
you-
start out
Exactly.
rough. So
you've got the tools. You pick the tools that you want to do, and then you want to use, and then yeah, you just go from there, man. It's really just about letting the process flow, kind of, and just letting the mistakes happen, and just letting it evolve.
Jason says, if the iPad Pro and the Wacom Cintiq were the same price and availability, which would you choose?
Okay, yeah, this is a question I've been asked a couple times, so I have a prepared answer. So I will go iPad because I really enjoy the fact that I don't necessarily need a laptop to create. With the Cintiq, the Cintiqs are awesome. Like, we have a couple of people in the studio who uses it. I think Rodolfo uses a Cintiq in the studio, and it's great. But what I do enjoy is I could just take the iPad as is, leave the computer at home, and just still, it kind of allows me to travel light. Because I have Sketch and I have Draw on there.
On the subway.
Exactly, wherever I am on the plane, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
it's literally that only difference where I'll be able to still create something on the spot rather than having like this whole setup of a laptop and Cintiq on it, which is nice.
I think, Amir, your question was just answered. We had another question about iPad or Wacom.
Yeah, sweet.
So we're using the iPad here. Melanie, for the challenge, you can use Photoshop Sketch on the tablet, or you can use Photoshop. It's up to you, whatever is easier for you.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just about preference, really. There's no wrong answer with any process that you go with. I think that's what people need to realize is, I mean, many of us will get these questions, oh, what program do you use? Or like, how do you do this? And it's just like, you can really do it in anything. You just got to pick something and just stick with it. There's no shortcut to it, which I think a lot of people starting out don't realize. And so there's definitely a frustration on their end to be like, dang it, I can never get to that level. And it's just like, if you just had like a camera on me 24/7 to see where I got to, like, I've been doing this stuff since, like, professionally, I've been doing this for years now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've only now just come to this sort of a style. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to stick to your guns and practice and constantly go with it. Otherwise, you know, you're not going to get anywhere, to be blunt. Like, you just have to stick to your guns and practice. Put in the work. You got to put in the work. Put in the hours.
Definitely. I think that people see someone that they really admire and they know that they can not be at the same level, but they want to have all the tools to get them. Like, if there's anything I can do to be close to this level, what can it be?
Right, exactly.
So they're like grasping at maybe tools, but what you should grasp at is practice and putting the time in.
You figure,
mostly.
I mean, you could pick your heroes. Like, there's nothing wrong with like I have no issue with people imitating artists in terms of learning.
I thought you were gonna say I have no issue with being a hero.
Yeah, right. That would be some funny. Yeah, that would be something that my coworkers use against me forever. I ain't giving y'all nothing. You hear me? Nothing. Watch, like, the next 2 days, I'll be giving them all kinds of office memes for the work. They're probably screen grabbing stuff right now as they go on. We
have to do some like.
Yeah, we'll do some poses and stuff maybe for you guys later. It's, you know, Christmas coming early for you and whatnot. But no, I have no issue with people imitating artists for the sake of learning and like just having a grasp of how they do certain things. What I do have an issue is people not like kind of taking ownership and holding themselves accountable when it comes to ripping other people off for the sake of just trying to catapult themselves quickly.
And also if they commercialize.
Exactly.
That's the worst part. When you've created something and then someone else ends up selling a t-shirt with it on when they haven't created it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Lord, man,
Yeah.
I can tell you, man. I'm sure you've witnessed it. I've got friends in the industry who have stories to tell about that. Some of them are just unbelievable.
Yeah, I have a story that happened last week, actually.
Really?
I'm gonna look at what's on the chat, and then if there's an open time, I'll tell my story.
All right, cool. How are we doing with time, by the way?
We are doing well. We have an hour left.
Okay, awesome.
But only 35 minutes for the challenge.
Sounds good.
Leslie says, I'm publicly embarrassed to admit my Behance is blank. I just uploaded the challenge. That's good. You're starting with something
You
new.
gotta start somewhere. Exactly.
Daria says, do you usually start with a picture or a sketch? Well, if we go by today, you started with a picture.
Start with the picture, yeah. But hopefully, later in the week, as we wrap this one up, we'll move on to something that's just pure sketch to show you guys like how I work that way as well. So it just depends on what the final result is that I'm going for, to be honest, what the commission is. The photographic stuff is a bit more popular.
Yeah.
Because it just seems a bit more commercial, working over fashion photography. I'll get like editorial stuff for magazines and stuff like that to work over photographic images, which is pretty cool. But it just depends. Depends on what I like to do, what I feel like, what I'm in the mood for.
Yeah. Have you ever used AstroPad?
I do use AstroPad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my Cintiq substitute
Right.
Because I was a heavy Wacom user, just like the Intuos. And then when I got into the iPad more, I discovered AstroPad. And, if there's time today, I'll show you guys how that setup works. It's very, very simple. You just got to optimize some of your brush settings. Like, I realized that AstroPad has some lagging issues if you have like certain brush settings set up in Photoshop. So just turning those off and you realize you don't need them.
Yeah.
It works pretty cool. It works pretty well.
So is the wolf coming out from behind?
Yeah, so if you can see, like, it's kind of faint, but right now the wolf would be kind of forming around, and I'm just like slightly completing the wolf to see how that form works. I'm not going to draw the whole body of the wolf because obviously it's like coming from behind her, which is also saving me anatomy wise, because when you can do that kind of thing, have that kind of coverage, you don't have to think so hard about, okay, how does the spine meets the back and how does the tail go. So like here it's just like laying down the basic form in my awfully crude pencil line work, and then I'm going to go over again with the red pencil to refine the wolf even further.
So I just posted both of our Instagrams.
Boom.
Well, I didn't need to put that whole link, but those are the handles. Thanks for asking, Scott. I hope you enjoy the Instagrams. You can keep up with what Curve does in the future.
Let's see here.
So, Daria, we're using Photoshop Sketch right now with the Apple Pencil.
Yes.
Hey, Hector. And Amanda says, okay, so we did talk about this already. Advice for new artists fresh out of college. And I think that basically the answer was keep practicing.
Yeah.
Create a project that you like, that will attract attention and maybe get you some commissioned work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anything else?
Don't be discouraged about sort of like going through like a block in your mind. Like we all go through it. If you're kind of getting stuck on ideas and you don't know what to do, just walk away, take a break, do something else for a little bit. I'll definitely go through hiatuses every once in a while when I reach like a creative block. Just in terms of the fact that maybe you just feel burned out or you feel like you've beaten an idea over the head one too many times and you kind of want to start fresh. So my hiatuses can take a while. Sometimes I'll go on hiatus for like a month, 2 months, just like taking a break of like personal work.
Do you ever do other types of art, like?
Well, I mean, I have work. Like I have stuff at Vault. That keeps me creatively busy. Because, at work, even if you have a creative block, you kind of just have to keep muscling through it. And that's the beauty of like working with a team, is that you can bounce ideas off.
Yeah.
But when I'm on my own, I just do other forms of escapism. Like I'll watch a movie. Like I said, I like doing stuff with music as well. Like I'll do like a little DJ mix or something, or just like create like Spotify playlists and stuff like that. Just because like a lot of my inspiration comes from music. Actually, it's not just like pop culture or like film. Like I listen to a lot of music. And I have the honor of being like the office DJ every once in a while, along with Tom Mack and Rod and a few other people. Just that kind of is like a part of the culture. It's like having music in the background. So is there always
music playing?
If you come to the office, guaranteed there will always be something going on.
That's so great.
Yeah. It's really, really helpful with the sort of office psyche, because especially like times of deadline, stress, having that music going kind of keeps you hyped and kind of gets the energy going, which is nice. That's like the one thing about Vault that we're most proud of besides the work is the office culture is really one of a kind. Like you go in there, it's not like your typical sort of, cubicle space. We've had the fortune of having an office space that feels quite academic in a way. Like it kind of feels like you're going into a college studio.
Yeah.
And we haven't lost that sense of excitement about the work because of how we've arranged the space in such a way. It's very collaborative in that sense too.
So we were just talking about Vault 49, and that's where Kerv works. It's a branding agency.
It's actually, branding, illustration.
Brand design agency.
We do everything.
Is what it says online.
Yeah. It does a lot. We do a lot now. And we had humble beginnings, as I said, like we were mainly focused on illustration, kind of like hired guns in a way.
Yeah.
A big agency will come to us for a really cool project and we'll like execute it. But now we've like evolved into something that focuses also within the strategy 360 campaign. We can do it all basically now at this point, but still holding on to those craft roots. So that's why we still do murals, screen printing, things of that sort as well. If you ever have the opportunity to visit our studio, anybody that comes to visit the studio, you'll see we'll have like a whole section dedicated to that. Like we have like a whole screen printing craft section in the heart of the studio, which is cool.
That's
really
great.
Nice. If you actually check out the office website, you'll see like some photos and stuff too. If you guys are curious, check it out.
I want to come for sure.
Yeah, you need to.
I want to listen to the music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like the one thing that people always like don't expect. You have people coming in with interviews with like, sometimes he'll just come in really proper with like suits and like a tie or something. And then they realize they walk in, you realize that you don't have to do that. Like it's just like it's a very cool laid back space. And as long as you have dope work to talk about and you carry yourself well and you seem to vibe with people, we'll like you, really. Like you don't have to do much more than that other than just be like a straight up person. Yeah.
So for those of you who've joined recently, this segment goes on for another hour, but we have about half an hour left for you to submit work for the challenge for today, which is to draw a mermaid or merman using the mermaid brushes from Kyle. Check out your challenge tab for more details. There's going to be another stream right after us, and it's going to continue throughout the day, and we're back tomorrow and Thursday in the morning. We're the first people you're going to see on your screen. So let's see what other questions I have not had a chance to answer. One of them was from Brandon, and he asked how you determine what to charge people, which is a big discussion
that is a huge
for
discussion.
artists. How did you start to get advice on that?
Asking other artists as well.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's still something that I'm still figuring out because there's certain things that I've realized for myself I try to be sensitive to. Like I try to be sensitive to, okay, is this person like, is this a Nike or is this like a loan commission?
What the exposure is going to be.
What's the exposure? What can I realistically charge? Like it's kind of like, out of respect for the person who put themselves out there to reach out to me, I try to come up with a budget that I feel they should be able to afford or at least be willing to pay if they want to take my work seriously as well. But then at the same time, it's like I'm not going to charge like the Lone Ranger who's trying to start up his own clothing company versus like a Nike. Like that'll be a very, very different scale in terms of how I budget that for sure. But yeah, honestly, the best reference, like everyone has a different answer as to how they charge. I think I would just talk to your peers and just figure it out, see what they do, and then you can assess yourself how to go about it. And I mean, that's why a lot of us get agents because we don't have to think about that so much.
Right.
Just in terms of, what up, JG? So Chris up top JG says hi. He's one of the founders.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really cool too because we're such a small company, the founders are actually very, very still involved in like the ins and outs, the process of the studio.
Yeah.
JG, he's one of our ECDs. He's heavily invested in the design process of a lot of the projects that come in and out. And Jonathan is kind of still involved with that, but also focused on like the sort of like the financial backing, like almost like the back end, front end type of approach. Where JG's like more like front end.
Yeah, you always
Jonathan's
need
like
that.
the back end. Yeah, they kind of divide and conquer and keep the studio afloat that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hi, Leah. Paula, if you go on the challenge tab, there's a link to the brushes from Kyle, and you can get them there. Juan, thank you for the compliment. I enjoy hosting too. Kathleen is here. She's getting ready for the next stream.
Nice.
Yeah, people are talking about the pricing thing. It's definitely,
It's a tough one.
yeah, it's a hard
not,
one for everyone. You can't have the same response for everybody.
Yeah,
Like Mel says, asking local peers about cost is important because, for example, New York is different than a small town.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, it does. It really depends on so many different factors: the demographics, the kind of project it is. You know, every once in a while, I like to do a project that's good for the soul. Like I'll do like a pro bono project if I know it's for a good cause. Absolutely. But yeah, it does depend on location too, for sure. Like if you're living in New York versus if you're living in Rockland County, upstate New York, yeah, you'll probably charge slightly differently.
Yeah.
Just in terms of cost of living.
Melanie says, know your client and their budget.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's always a life. It's always like a life-saving thing if your client already comes with a budget in mind. Then you can respond accordingly.
Thank you.
But if they come to you like, hey, how much are you going to charge? And I give them a number and they immediately agree. Then I realize I could have probably charged.
Yeah, there's always that remorse.
Yeah.
Alicia, we're using the Apple Pencil on the iPad Pro. Hey, Destiny. Hi, Anna. If anyone's joining now, let us know where you're from. And we have about an hour left of this segment. We have a challenge. The winner of the challenge gets a year of Creative Cloud. So check out the challenge tab. It's to draw a mermaid today using Kyle Webster's brushes.
I am not drawing a mermaid myself. I am drawing a wolf.
A wolf mermaid.
Animal.
Oh, you should just put a mermaid tail on the wolf.
There you go.
That's a normal
I was actually
thing,
thinking
right?
about putting like a little like an emblem, mermaid emblem on her jacket.
Okay.
That might be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's more logical. Okay. So Eric says from Ocean City, New Jersey. Alex is from Vancouver. And Adonis from Miami. Ryan from Culver City. Margarita from Miami. Okay. Rodolfo is trolling us.
What's Rodolfo?
It's
What's he doing?
Is the bloke single?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Here we go. Here we go.
It's gone now. Everyone's chatting. Paula from North Carolina. Daria from Syracuse, New York. Richard.
Syracuse. Went to school in Syracuse.
Oh.
Yeah.
Richard's from New York, too. Megan from Nashville. Ren is here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You
I
know what?
know.
Just ignore
I'm ignoring
whatever
him.
Rodolfo says. Just ignore him, right?
It's all good things. It's all good things.
She's having way too much fun.
Good to see Ren on the chat. She's been on our live stream before.
Oh, sweet.
Kathleen is from San Francisco. We've got a lot of people from San Francisco in this room. It's so crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
David from Nigeria. Hey.
What up?
Renee. Alicia's from Austin, Texas. That's where we want to go.
Yeah, I would love to go to Austin one day, especially like check out maybe South by Southwest or something. Like that'd be really, really sweet. Just take the camera and just capture
I
stuff.
always feel like I want to go and then I get kind of intimidated.
How come?
It just seems so big and crazy.
Oh, that's more the reason to go. When I went to first time I was in London back in like 2009, I went there by myself. It was for a study abroad program while I was still studying architecture, like half a life ago. And I got there a weekend early before all my other classmates just to have the experience on my own, kind of like a fish out of water kind of thing. And I went to Notting Hill Carnival, which is like this big, like sort of West Indian, African sort of block party, playing like a lot of reggae and all that kind of stuff. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Just rolled up by myself with my camera and just captured some photos, and it was awesome. It was awesome kind of doing it that way.
Cool. Yeah, I shouldn't be intimidated.
Nah, you definitely should go. Have to. If you have the opportunity to do it, yeah, without question, you should.
Arthur says, yeah, boy, Notting Hill Carnival is awesome.
Yeah, man.
Bobby's from Los Angeles. Michael's from Albuquerque. Alicia says, come visit, but don't move here. We're getting too crowded in Austin.
Yeah, Austin's like going through a big boom actually. Like it's really insane what their like the kind of stuff that's happening right now. It's pretty cool for Austin. But yeah, they're getting a huge influx of
The
millennials.
profile of Austin has definitely been raised.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the last few years. I just hear about it all the time.
Sorry.
Mihi is from Korea, and it's 2 a.m.
That's dedication. That's dedication.
Dedication to illustration.
Yeah, I saw what you did there.
It just came out. I didn't even plan it. Darla says, also confirms, it's crowded in Austin. John asks, does the stylus on the iPad have pressure sensitivity?
Yes, it does. So let me see if I can show you real quick. So yeah, so if I were to pick, let's say I pick a different brush. Let's do this one. Let's make it black so you can see. Yeah, you can have all kinds of pressure sensitivity stuff. So you could, if you wanted to, like go really, really light with it, or if you put pressure on it, you do that, and then you can change the settings as well. You can like stress test it also, so like play with all the dynamics, all the very similar to Photoshop. And if I have time later, if not today, I'll show you guys eventually, maybe tomorrow, how to import your brushes from Photoshop into Sketch. It's actually a really, really easy process. But you can like, yeah, you don't have to just stick with the default brushes. If you have default like custom brushes that you guys created that you're used to, that you've purchased in the past, whatever, you can bring those brushes into Sketch as well. Yeah, I'll be happy to show you guys that later. All right, let's see if I can get this wolf done so that we can start inking for you guys before the day is over.
Something really exciting happened. I have 3 submissions to the challenge.
Nice.
And I want to look at them with you. Let's see if we can switch. All right, so here's from Margarita.
All right.
Look at this mermaid. I like is it like gills?
On the fins, it looks like it's
or
fins.
Like
on
a fin instead of an ear.
Almost like, ew, you know what that reminds you of? The Shape of Water.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds me of the I love that movie, actually.
Were you inspired by The Shape of Water, Margarita?
It kind of reminds you of that.
Yes. Wow, I love that I get a response immediately.
You know what I'm saying? What were we talking about? Hive mind?
Yeah.
Great minds think alike. Boom. Yeah, I like your color choices.
Yeah. Let's see, there's another one here. Oh, look at this guy.
Yes. Yes. Thanos as a mermaid. What more could you want? What more could you want?
Nothing. You've got everything here. Do you have any advice for this illustration? Like,
I would like to see, like, you know, based on the theme that you went with, more world building. I mean, obviously you did it so quick, so.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be really cool to see what more you could add to the background. Like, if you want to continue with the comic book theme, like give them like more context. Like give like a little underwater city vibe or something, or maybe there's something going on. I mean, he's got like the gauntlet on there, so maybe like you can do something around him and give him some more like power emission type stuff, like just to build the environment a bit more.
yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely add more to this because the concept is really great. And then the next one, the last one we have for now, is from Leslie.
Oh, okay.
I like this. It has some kind of story, like you wonder what's happening to the mermaid.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of has like an abstraction approach too, in terms of like the way the form is kind of like obscured with all the bubble treatments, and like the color palette kind of mutes like the intensity of the forms a bit. So it has like a sort of more like, if you kind of squint, it has a more of like an abstract feel to it, more of a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any advice for refining it?
Let me see. Yeah, I think because like the main shape is so like embedded within like all the textures and whatnot, it might be nice kind of further defining the key geometries of your central shape with like maybe stronger strokes of the lines. I would definitely want it to like kind of stand out more from the background a bit. Well, you can still kind of keep that abstract vibe if that's what you want, but I think giving it a slightly stronger stroke, maybe there's like a stronger key line around it, or maybe even play with the values of your greens a bit more, add some more brightness to it so that it's much more distinguished from the backdrop.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys, for submitting those. I love those. So we have 3 so far, and be checking until the deadline, which is in about 15 minutes.
Oh boy.
So keep submitting to have a chance to win Creative Cloud. And we'll be looking at those other later submissions at the deadline. Eric says, wow, that feedback was clearly from an expert. That's why we're here. That's why we brought him.
Since he's not my coworker, I know he's being serious, but I swear to you, like, you have to understand, if you ever had the pleasure of meeting these fools, they will make those kind of like sarcastic
Oh, I can
comments.
tell.
Oh,
I
man.
feel like I know them already.
Well, yeah, Rudy already has given
By
me a hint.
Thursday, they're probably going to start trolling me.
Yeah.
I'll be like, yeah,
Yeah,
Ari.
you'll be a part of the crew now at that point.
Yeah, I want them to ask me the same questions. Like, do you work out? I'll be like, actually,
Like, yeah.
as a matter of fact.
Of course I do.
I'll take it too seriously. Let's see. Michael says, on your Instagram, I've noticed a lot of different symbols, and I'm not too sure. Are they Korean?
Oh, so I have so let me see, I can show you quickly just on here. So if on this portion, like this guy right here, that's like a kanji, like a Japanese kanji version of my name. It's phonetically says Brisseaux. That's like the closest I could get to actually spelling my name in Japanese.
That's the closest?
That's the yeah. So like phonetically, it's you sound it out. It's supposed to say Brisseaux. So it's like
Oh,
Brisseaux.
your last name.
Yeah,
I
my
was
last
like,
name, yeah.
what?
No, not
How
Kervin.
is that Kervin?
No, not Kervin. No.
Okay, I
No,
get
so
it.
that's where that's from. And then all the other like sort of symbols that I do, like this type of stuff. So like here in this series, you'll see like a lot of my characters.
Brisseaux Chapter 1.
Yeah. So it's like I did like this whole sort of panel series. And then
Oh,
the,
cool.
all
And
these
you used hiragana
what was that?
here. Like Japanese
Yeah,
hiragana.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, there's some Japanese here, but a lot of it is just like sort of like different symbols. And when I started doing it, it kind of represented a couple things. Mainly like you know, like in comics when someone would write an expletive,
Yeah.
they wouldn't write the word, obviously.
Yeah,
They
like
try
stars.
Yeah. So that's where the idea came from. Was like maybe they're saying like expletives and whatnot,
Oh,
which is
that's
pretty,
cool.
which is pretty interesting. Let me see what else. There's other examples on here that I have. That's like that. Let's see. This one. No, not this one. There's another one.
Yeah, so the first, it's
Yeah,
actually
like
katakana that's
Yeah.
used to spell out your name.
Yeah. Thank you, whoever said
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So this one here, like the wolves are kind of like saying some sort of like expletive term or whatnot as they're walking through the streets.
Oh,
Yeah. I just thought like graphically, I just like how it looks, and it kind of pushes that comic book element a bit more, but
Yeah.
still keeps it quite graphic.
And it makes it more interesting. People are like, what are they saying? What's
Yeah,
happening?
it allows that level of engagement. Yeah, so I'll definitely be working that in here for sure with this one.
Thanks, Nora, for reminding us because we forgot our Japanese for a second.
Yeah, that's actually a language I really want. I actually want to go to Japan one day.
Me
I've never been to
too.
Japan
Me too.
ever. So
How
if-
many people do we have from Japan
Yeah, that'd be
in the
curious to
chat?
see. Yeah,
Who's going to teach us Japanese?
who's gonna tell us where the hot spots are? That's what I want to know.
Oh, yeah.
And has anyone seen the movie Lost in Translation? Because that's one of my favorite films as
It's a
well.
great one. Margarita's been to Japan. Where did you go? Victoria says, I wish I was able to visit Japan. One day I will travel.
Yeah,
Yes.
you and I both. I would love to visit Japan. Closest I've been to Japan is Korea. I've been to Seoul.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Richard says, currently learning Japanese on N4 in kanji. So what is that?
Yeah.
Like, it must be the level.
Yeah, I think
Kanji is an uphill battle. I cannot imagine because kanji is all the symbols.
Yeah, I mean, but if
It's
you look
like
at it,
so-
like everything is kind of like if you look at our alphabet, it's kind of like
I
word
know,
symbols
but
too,
they
right?
have 3 alphabets. They have katakana for foreign words, which is what says Brisseaux.
Right.
They have hiragana, which is the phonetic, and then they have kanji, which is a symbol that's like a whole word, if I'm not mistaken. So you have to just memorize it.
Right,
It's not
yeah.
just the sound. So whereas we're used to just seeing A, B, and it's like ba, and we don't have to memorize like the word for fish is like this symbol. There's so many. Yeah, kanji came from Chinese.
And Pollyanna just said time to visit Tokyo via Adobe, which, hey, I would not be mad at that.
That's what
I think
I've
we
been
both like to
gunning
go.
for.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
come on, Adobe.
Yeah, let's just fly us
Can
over.
you just...
Have some fun.
How can we get some business going here? Oh, kanji goes from N5, which is easiest, to N1, which is the hardest. Okay, so
Okay.
Richard's on his 2nd grade.
Okay, cool.
We all wish you all the best in achieving N1 one day.
Yeah, I actually know of a few people who's learned Japanese, and it's just like, it's pretty insane. Like, a lot of gamers actually learn Japanese. Like, if you play like Street Fighter or something like that, people that like travel around the world to play, you find like a lot of people super fluent in it.
That's impressive.
Yeah, very impressive.
Hi, Glenna. Hi, Leo. Leo's from Kurdistan.
Kurdistan, nice.
He says, I was wondering, would it be okay to do designs for low prices since everyone's doing it for low prices, like a logo for $25, or should I charge more?
You know what? Here's the thing. Everyone has to start somewhere. I've certainly done my fair share when I first started out super young, doing like logos for like $50, or like a little illustration.
Where would you do that? Like,
well, the thing is like I see it happening a lot in like these sort of random competitions
like
and stuff
the
like that.
99 design.
Yeah, like some kind of musician will have a cheeky way of like trying to get a lot of free work, and then they'll like get people to
Right.
like do briefs. But the thing is, if you're starting out and you're like a student, like I think it's like a good way to kind of work on a brief, like understand what it's like to be given a set of limitations. Here is
Yeah.
this thing, we need you to like come up with a design for this problem, and then here you go. So as a student, I think it's a really fruitful way to do it. But then, after a while, as you develop and gain more experience, you'll realize, it's not really, you should never be working for pennies when you're spending that much time on something.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to like make a living out of it, yeah, 25 is definitely way too low. You definitely want to.
It's low, and Kyle Webster has a good point. Low prices set new standards, which makes it harder for working professionals to charge the right amount.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, you have to start somewhere, but keep in mind the precedent you're setting for yourself and for the rest of the industry.
Yeah. That's why I think competitions are all right, but when it comes to like one-on-one relationships with someone, if you start off that low, it's
Yeah.
really hard to kind of get to a point where you get to a value that you deserve for your time and energy.
So we have 7 minutes left for the challenge deadline. I have 4 submissions right now. I'm hoping to see more because I know you're all very creative. Ooh, I just refreshed and I got a lot more. Not a lot, 3.
Yeah, it's plenty.
But I want to have some choices to look through to see who gets to win the prize.
Okay, now it looks like I finally have my pencils, my red pencils laid out. So I've got my jacket design, I've got my wolf. I'm gonna probably do some kind of motion line work here with some random cloud brushes that I like to use. And I have like these speech bubbles where I'll fit my little expletive symbols and whatnot. And yeah, we'll just take it from there. So now.
So we have about half an hour left. So what's the next step now that you have your pencil?
So now I'm going to start picking my brushes. So I like working with manga. That's of all the stuff that Kyle's done, like it's easily my favorite collection. I just love all the options that I have on there. I typically just use the basic manga brush that he has in here to develop my line work. And then from there I'll like go into like halftones, things like that to like fill stuff up. But for now it's just like kind of filling in overlaying the red line work with some ink, and then some ink, quote unquote, and then from there I'll just fill in the forms with white so I can clearly distinguish what my shapes are, and then we can go into draw and start adding some color to it once I have all my textures down. Yeah.
So we'll be going into the draw app after we've inked this up. Selamawit. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Selamawit says, dope work.
Thank you. This is probably the most therapeutic part of the process, is adding black line work. Absolutely love doing that.
So we're on the iPad right now, Sharon. Oh, thank you. I pronounced it right. Everyone's talking about pricing. It's definitely a contentious topic.
It's a tough one because it's still something that even us professionals, I think, have trouble getting to grips with, especially when you get a client that you really want to work with. They're like, oh, finally. And then they go under the belt a little bit in terms of their fees. So it's like, all right, so then you have to decide, like, do I do this because
my principles?
Yeah. Versus, like, this would be awesome to have in the portfolio. So it's kind of like it's a give and take. It really depends. It really, really depends.
Kyle says, I think more people need to discover these manga brushes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we're
They're
going to
awesome.
make sure they do because this is going to look awesome.
They're awesome, man. They kind of make me feel like I'm a better artist than I actually am because the fidelity just seems to work so well. Because if I try to do this with like a regular sort of brush print, it just does not look as good. I definitely still need a lot of practice in terms of the traditional sense of inking over pencils. But yeah, this stuff is awesome.
Someone earlier said, hey, why don't you draw a fierce pug instead of a wolf?
You know, I have a coworker who would love the fact that you said that. She's a big dog lover, and she owns like a couple of pugs as well.
Do you ever use 3D programs?
I do. So at work, I'm an associate design director, so I'm kind of like I kind of oversee like a whole slew of different executions. And actually at Vault, I got my start in 3D. Like that's how that's where I really
Great question, David.
Yeah. So we do a lot of 3D executions at Vault. I do a lot of 3D illustration for Vault. For my personal work, I actually prefer doing flat illustration. That being said, I do have examples of 3D work on my website. I think one example I have on there now is this one. This is kind of like a sneaker illustration that I've done. And it was a kind of a response to how popular neon was. Like neon is like a thing. So I tried to do my own take on it, and I developed these sort of like 3D neon sculptures. And this was in collaboration with a client actually for SneakerCon to like develop this concept, and he was gonna pitch it to like Jordan to see if we could actually get it built.
Whoa.
Which would have been amazing, but right now it's kind of being tabled for now because it would have been too expensive to execute. But so here you can kind of see. And I did the second one with the phone posit on my own, just like kind of continuing that language. So this is like a 3D passion project that I'm doing nowadays, and I'm hoping to evolve it a little later.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you use when you're creating a 3D?
Cinema 4D. Cinema 4D is the main thing.
There you go, Ryan. I got you before you asked it.
Yep.
Cinema 4D. Have you ever used Adobe Dimension?
No, I never did. Never have actually. That's the 3D program that Adobe developed, right?
Yeah.
A couple of my friends actually used that for Max last year, which was Jeanette Lau and Justin Maller. They were, and I think Luke Choice as well. They all got to use Dimensions. Jeanette was actually an interesting one because she doesn't have much 3D experience, whereas Luke and Justin do. So it was kind of interesting to see how all of them came into it from different perspectives.
Yeah. I'm sure it's not easy
3D,
to learn on the fly.
You know what helped me is, again, that architecture degree. You have to kind of have an understanding of three-dimensional space. And I actually used Rhino a lot when I was studying architecture. It was like a car modeler, but it was really useful. It kind of had like a lot of CAD properties to it. You can really do a lot of clean 3D models quite easily, however basic the modeler is. And that's how I did to kind of create 3D models of my buildings and whatnot.
Awesome. Okay, so we only have a few seconds left for the challenge. So if you're submitting, submit it now. 30 seconds. I got a few more submissions. I'm really excited to look through those.
Nice. And while that's happening, I will multitask and try to keep inking this as we're checking out the submissions.
Yes, I'll be looking at them once we hit the deadline. Heather, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Sweet.
She enjoyed playing with the textures of the brushes. She did her submission. Okay, so Glenna, sorry I didn't get to ask your question earlier.
Yeah.
She says, have you ever made a comic or series? She's trying to start a comic.
You know what? That's a good question too, because you remember the one with the orange faces that I showed you, Birdie Zoo Chapter 1? So it was the one with like all like the sort of random kind of this one. So this is not like a true comic series, but I realized as I was developing it that I wanted to make it like a tiled series that kind of had like a suggestive story, in the sense where you don't really know what it is, but you know there's some kind of a consistent theme going on. And I intentionally don't describe it because I kind of want to leave it open to interpretation. You'll see like some things carrying through, but I really enjoy how people kind of assess what's happening and whatnot. So this is probably the closest I've ever done to a comic strip. I've never officially done something where I come up with like a narration and things like that. So there's like artists out there that I really admire that do that quite well, and it would be cool to do that, but it's definitely a time-consuming process for sure.
Yeah. Glenna, that sounds exciting to create a comic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paula followed you on Instagram.
Thank you so much.
How long have you had an Instagram?
Oh man, I actually joined Instagram almost immediately when it came out, I think.
Oh, wow.
When did that come out? Oh man, seems like forever ago
another
now.
era.
Yeah, it's just like, it just seems...
Pre-Instagram.
It just, yeah.
We all had a simple life.
Yeah. I definitely remember a time before Instagram was a thing, that's for sure.
Yeah. So Elizabeth, in a few minutes, in about 4 minutes, I'm going to check out all the submissions just to make sure they all got in. And then we will look through them and choose a winner and give some feedback. Very exciting. Hey, Matthias. Melanie, yes, we'll be back tomorrow at the same time, and you can stay tuned throughout the day. The whole day is full of live streams, and we'll be back tomorrow and Thursday. So this is a 3-day event, as is every week. Hey, Nora. Hey, Laura. Yeah, so Laura, if you go on the challenge tab, there's a link to those mermaid brushes that you can download, and you can submit artwork for the next session. So we have a couple questions about the image. We got it from Adobe Stock. So at the beginning, we had Kervin just went into Adobe Stock and looked through all the images, but he had pre-selected it, so he wasn't gonna put us through the hour of scrolling. But yes, this is from Adobe Stock. He didn't take this picture, but he likes to see inspiration from fashion photography.
Yeah. And I've actually had the pleasure of collaborating with fashion photographers since starting this style.
Oh, cool.
And guys like Wes Tarka, like Eric B. Danielson, like Jason Forbes, they've been generous enough to let me work with them and work on their photography. And it's kind of cool, like, establishing those new connections that way when you develop a style that people are into, and it kind of gives you the courage to reach out to people you admire and try to work with them as well once you feel like you have enough clout to show, hey, this is what I do. If you dig in it, let's work together, that kind of thing. So it's been pretty fun.
Are you ever afraid of doing this on someone's photo? Like,
oh, absolutely. Like, if I'll find like some like retro photo, I don't know who the creator is, where it comes from, and I'm just like, I really want to work over this. So what I'll do is I'll do a couple things. Like, first, I'll always like credit wherever, if I can find who the original creator is, I'll always credit it. At the very least, I'll make it clear I did not take the photo myself. And I'll also make it clear that it was just a personal piece, like I didn't make any money off of it.
Yeah.
I think so far, so good. Like, I haven't gotten reprimanded for anything.
Like, you defaced my picture.
Yeah. So when I actually did Acid Fashion, it was just like a bunch of just like found stuff that I found on magazines, things like that. And if you go on my Behance, you scroll down and you see just like a long list of credits. Like, I've listed every single model, every single photographer.
Oh, even the models?
Like everyone. If I can find the information, I'll put it down just so I can be like, look, these are kind of the muses that I've discovered that helped inspire me for this project. So
I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always important to provide credit where credit's due. And yeah, especially when it comes to like stuff like this, that can be a bit sort of risque when it comes to like finding photography to work over. You kind of want to have respect to the creator in that extent. And if anyone ever was like, hey, can you put this down? Like, I don't appreciate you working on this, and I'd be like, yeah, absolutely, like, it's not
Yeah.
a problem. Because really, it's more for me, honestly, as a creative. Like, I don't necessarily show everything I do. Like, there's plenty of stuff that I do that I just don't show at all. I just like to do it for the sake of practice as well. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever drawn over your drawing that's over a photo?
I haven't seen that yet. Well, like sort of photo, like a takeover Inception or whatever it's called. No, not yet. No.
Takeover of the takeover. That would be crazy.
That would be a bit crazy, yeah. But people have like, it's kind of like an honor to see people kind of imitate the style, but then be like, hey, I was inspired by Brisseaux. Like, that's kind
Yeah.
of cool seeing that. That's
great.
That's pretty funny.
Okay, I'm loading all of the challenge entries, so we'll be looking at those in a minute.
Nice.
Daria says, where did you study architecture?
I studied architecture undergrad at Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. Did that for 4 years, and then I went to Syracuse University for my master's, and that was awesome because they had an amazing study abroad program over there, and so that's where I got to go to Europe for like officially for the first time. And I say officially because I got the pleasure of going to Barcelona in undergrad, but it was only for like a couple days.
Yeah.
But in Syracuse, I was in Italy for like 4 months. I traveled to like Portugal, Spain. I was in London for another 4 months, and I got to see Turkey. That was my first step over to Asia in Turkey as well. So I got to like have like this whole culturally, like this
that's
huge culture
great.
shock. Yeah, it was great.
You didn't go to Greece, though.
No, I did not go to Greece. I've never been to France either.
I don't know if I can continue.
I know.
You went to Turkey and not Greece. It's just
Guys, if you don't see her tomorrow, understand that it's obviously my fault.
I'm gonna protest.
Because I did not visit an obvious location. But yeah, I'm due for another Euro trip for sure.
Yeah.
Like I need to make it back out there. Like to the extent that I was there last time, just in terms of like being there.
Jonas asked, how do you pronounce Behance? Kathleen says Behance. The founder of Behance actually says Behance.
Yeah, that's how I say it too, Behance.
I always said Behance, but you know what?
I used to say Behance too. You know, I kind of go back and forth. Like I also say apparel and apparel, and I'm just weird. That's why.
Aperol.
Yeah,
Aperol Spritz
I'll say,
is my favorite drink.
And maybe they're looking like, what are you trying to say? You mean apparel, right? I was like,
American Aperol.
yeah, tomato. Like, what's the big deal?
Okay, so I'm gonna look at these submissions.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's see what we have here. So we have Wea Owen. So this, I don't know if it was meant to be on the dark background.
They were just getting started. It looks like. It looks like they were trying to, because they were doing like laying down the pencils and like laying down the form. Laying down the anatomy. Nice hand. I could faintly see the hand work in there, like trying to get that loose like little expression.
Yeah, the hand is actually really good.
It's looking really well done there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So the mermaid is like bursting out of the water.
Yeah.
Nice movement. Okay. Let's see the next one from Claudia. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, that gives me like a nice little children's book vibe. Like I can definitely see this on the left, and on the right, it's just like a nice little sort of story being written out. That's really cool.
Totally. Leah.
Nice seductive pose there.
Yes. Nice pose.
Going for GQ Mag.
The GQ of underwater. Here's Diane.
Oh, very nice.
I love the texture.
Yeah, the treatment of the texture on the fin is a nice touch. The red pops out nicely too.
Yeah.
And the form also, really nice sort of like arching of the back there. The anatomy seems quite solid. Yeah, awesome.
It kind of reminds me.
Oh, what were you going to say?
Like stained glass, like light is coming through.
Yeah, almost like there's like an emission there. And I almost wish that there was like the bubbles are kind of doing it, but maybe even more of that sense of movement, because you have that kind of arch back, so she's kind of just like moving through. Maybe having some more motion line work would be nice to really emphasize that flow. It'd be cool.
Love it. Next, Fred. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, another like kind of children's book vibe, right? Like
With
a nice
the eel looks a little troubled.
Is this like a parody of
friends?
The Little Mermaid? Like.
Wait, yeah, they're like Ursula has evil eels.
Exactly. That's what choking them out, letting them know what's up.
Oh,
Like, don't mess with me.
Okay, Fred. creating some antagonism in the seas. Okay, Carlos.
That's actually really well drawn though. It's like
Yeah.
a cool little caricature.
Is this based on another character?
That's what I'm wanting to know. Yeah.
Carlos, let us know. Did you just invent this guy, or is it based on something? He's very cute and also curious.
Obviously works out.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
If
clearly.
anyone works out in this whole live stream, it's Carlos's character. And I'm wondering if he's going to use the fork to brush his hair like the Little Mermaid. Does anyone remember that scene?
Another Little Mermaid reference. Yes, I think he might very well be. Maybe it's
Okay.
Little Mermaid's unknown brother.
Next, Omar. Oh, lots of texture in here.
Very macabre, right? With the dark palette, the dark blues, the blacks. And you
Yeah.
can see the mermaid as well. Very faintly. I get like an Edgar Allan Poe vibe from this for some reason. I'm not sure
Oh.
why.
Yeah. It is macabre.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Elizabeth. Oh.
A little portrait of a mermaid there.
Yeah. She looks pensive.
Very pensive, yes.
Yeah. I like this stuff. So this is one of the brushes, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm assuming so as well.
It's like
Yeah.
seaweed or
Just to give it like a
floral
bit of
or-
context or something, yeah.
Yeah. Tima.
That's cool.
Ooh.
More graphic representation,
Yeah.
bold colors. I like what she's trying to do with that. In terms of, you know what would be really nice? Maybe like, so that she's got like some patterning to represent the fish scales there. It would be interesting to see that patterning kind of carry through in different forms and the other like sort of plant-like shapes as well. That's really cool though.
It's got a Native American vibe for me. Like
Yeah.
Pocahontas / Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Carlos says his character is friends with Ariel, the one with the fork.
Yeah, we theorized that, didn't
And
we?
he reminded me that the fork is called a dinglehopper.
Dinglehopper.
Okay, Susan, I think this has an environmental message because
I was
the
gonna say,
turtle is
turtle's in
stuck
trouble.
plastic can thing. Oh.
Yeah.
And the mermaid's saving him.
Yeah, right. That's a great message.
That's
Great message.
awesome. I like how you did the texture in the water. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
And Heather. Ooh. A little stretching.
Yeah, doing some Pilates. It would be cool if I'm not sure if it was your intention to have the white background, but it might have been nice to add like another sort of like bold color in the backdrop, just to, because you know what I find with white is, oddly enough, although it's blank, it actually detracts from the foreground because it's just so stark.
Yeah.
So maybe having like a solid blank color to complement the foreground a bit to help it pop off a bit more would be nice.
Yeah. But looks really good. Carol. Oh, tentacles.
Yeah. Some storytelling happening here. Is she in danger, or is this a friend, or what's going on here?
I feel like
It's clever
I'm
that
missing
she's-
the bottom. There we go.
It's clever that she's using the tentacle to kind of frame the scene a bit too. Actually,
Yeah.
it's not just like a character in the composition, but it's actually creating the composition in and of itself as well.
And she's like curious. Are they friends or enemies?
Yeah, I'm very curious. Maybe they're friends. I don't know. The expression on her face suggests that she's not in danger. She's more like
No.
curious, if anything.
Yeah. Omar. Oh, here's Omar's design on a canvas. That's interesting.
Oh, okay.
Giovanna. Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, the-
Blocky.
Yeah, again, I think it's kind of cool, like seeing that bold graphic language, and it'd be interesting to see how that would carry out in the rest of the world. Like, so you have like this black, and it'd be interesting to see if like maybe so you have the white hair, so maybe using like some white line work to kind of define the environment, just white line work. That's it to kind of help with that pop and keep that sort of colored treatment going.
Yeah. Oh, cute.
I'm thinking SpongeBob.
Yeah, totally. SpongeBob.
Absolutely.
One of the friends of SpongeBob. Maybe he didn't get to be a main star in the show. Oh, this is cute.
I feel like this is another Little Mermaid reference because of the red hair.
Yeah, and the little friend. I love her. This is another children's book kind of style.
Yeah.
Very cute. Good job, Roxana. There's Prince. Ooh. What is the symbolism
They're
of
going,
this?
they're going modern art with this now.
Okay.
Abstract geometric
Prince,
shapes.
I need to hear an explanation.
Yeah. We're actually really curious. What's the meaning behind all those shapes there?
Yeah, is she trapped? Or, I don't know. There's a million things that could be happening. And then we're back to the ones we already saw. Just a refresher. This guy.
Yep, Thanos.
And that was the first
I
one.
finally, now that we see this again, I see it. So she kind of has her head in her arms,
Yeah,
right? She's like kind of. So wow, it's even a sadder story than.
It's
than
very
that.
sad.
Yeah, what's going on there?
We don't know what's happening. Is she also upset about the turtle that got trapped by the plastic can holder?
Yeah, it's all this sort of connected.
I think we could make some kind of story, like a children's book, using all of these.
Using most of these, yeah, exactly.
Do you have a winner in your head, or do you want to see them?
Ooh,
We could give you just like,
there was a couple that jumped
you
out
have
of my
like a
mind.
minute to think about it,
A minute, okay.
because we need to get the winner out there.
All right, I may have one. Can I
can-
see them all as a thumbnail to like remind me, or is that like?
Yeah.
Would that be possible? Yeah, okay. Keep going. The fork illustration is close, but I might be. Let me see. I think.
Drum roll.
Scroll up to the top a little bit again now. Oh man. You know, I have to credit the I'm really liking, if you go down, the one below the fork.
This one.
Yeah, I'm kind of liking how like sort of where she's going in terms of like the bold graphic treatment.
Yeah.
And it's just like the designer in my mind, I'm kind of envisioning how this can be like extrapolated across different sort of touch points, like because it's so simple and bold, you can apply it to like a bottle design, or like it could be applied to a t-shirt, things like that. So that kind of flexibility is kind of cool, and you could easily sort of swap the colors to create different variations, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, I think my winner is.
Oh, Tima says she didn't use Kyle's brushes.
Is that?
LOL, pick someone else.
All right. Well, all right. What was that?
Tima's also won already.
Oh, Tima's one.
Okay, yeah. So we need to spread the wealth.
Okay, yeah, we'll
We need to
spread the wealth. Thanks for being honest, Tima. That's great. Any other choices?
All right, yeah. Let's scroll down again just to see the bottom. Ooh, it's a close one between the black and white SpongeBob one and the guy with the fork.
Okay.
I think.
This one or this one?
Oh man, which one should I go with? I think
It's hard.
it is a tough one, but I'm leaning towards SpongeBob.
Okay.
I think SpongeBob might be the one.
What's his real name, though? Okay, so how do we pronounce your name?
Is it Jernej?
Jernej. I'm thinking it's not as obvious as it is, but Jernej or Herne.
Yeah, I'm not. You're the host. You're on your own there. I'm not even gonna try.
But in any case, congratulations. This is really awesome. We loved how whimsical it is and how cute he is. Oh, close enough. The name. Oh, is it Irene? Kenny says. Let us know what the name of your character is. Is he really from SpongeBob? Or is he inspired by it?
I think he's from SpongeBob. I think
Yeah.
he's just in it. Yeah. I've got a coworker also who's probably going to be very happy that I picked this one. Big SpongeBob fan.
Well, thanks everyone for submitting. We had some really great illustrations and good use of color and using Kyle's brushes to create texture. So keep going. If you didn't submit right now, you have a chance in the next stream. So keep submitting, and the next artists will be choosing their winners. But for now, this illustration gets the prize of Creative Cloud.
Congratulations.
Congrats. So we're back to our illustration
Yes,
for the last...
It's slowly taking shape, and hopefully you guys are starting to understand what's happening here, so you can see So I've got the jacket. I'm drawing the wolf. There'll be like some kind of motion lines happening here as well, just to capture that sense of energy. And then the speech bubbles and whatnot. So the next stream, we'll have this thing sort of finished and wrapped up, and then we can move on to the next one.
Ooh. So we'll go to the Draw app tomorrow.
Yeah, but you know what? What I could do is, for now, I can quickly show you guys how that process looks, just so that you have an idea of what I intend to do. So to bring this into Draw, if I wanted to, say I want to color it up right now, right? To bring it into Draw, I just have to bring up the Draw app.
Whoa.
Right? Like that. So this is kind of leveraging the split screen function on the iPad. So I'll just pick a new portrait. I'll pick the same format that I've had before. And then all you have to do is I'll pick the layer that I want. So let's just bring this back to normal. I don't need my pencils, so I can remove that for now. So let's say I just had everything already done. I click and hold the layer, and then I can tap any other layer that I want. So if I wanted to bring in more, I can if I wanted to. And then just drag it over, like so. And then,
Wow, that's so easy.
Done, bring it into place. And so now, if I wanted to color up my thing, let's bring this over. Right, so now if I wanted to add some color to it, let's faint this out a little bit so I can see again like we did before. And let's say, just for the sake of argument, we want it to be blue. And then we'll just quickly, oops, let's go back. Let's make this a new layer. Let's just quickly fill this in.
Oh, I love how it's filling in. It like expands.
Exactly.
Anna says, that's nice to know. Renee says, split screen for life. So for all of you who are watching, we'll be back tomorrow at the same time and Thursday.
Yes.
But stay tuned for the other live streams that are coming today. And we're going to have to start wrapping up, but this is what we're going to start doing tomorrow. We'll be in Draw, we'll be adding color, and we're going to be getting some feedback from you guys. So come back to tell us which colors you want to be on the clothes.
Yeah, and what I'll try to do is we'll just go through the libraries that I have on here. Maybe we can like just select which combinations you guys are vibing with, and then we're not limited to those. We can obviously flex and like mess around and stuff and have a bit more fun with it. But
we can flex.
Yeah, we can flex a little bit.
I think your coworkers are gonna tease you for that.
Yeah, I know. It's fine. I said I wouldn't give them anything, but I'm sure they found a million things while watching this.
Johnny says it's sick. So we have a couple minutes left. So do you want to continue for 2 minutes, or do you want to say bye for 2 minutes?
Since we only have 2 minutes, I'm more than happy to just engage with you guys.
Any last questions?
Answer any last minute questions that you may have. It's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I had so much fun.
I'm really looking forward to these next 2 days to see what these final results look like. It should be awesome.
Thanks, Leah. Thanks, Scott. Great to see you in the chat.
Yeah, I'm sure Rod can't wait to see me again tomorrow. He's got more jokes to say.
Yeah.
This guy over here.
Anything you want to see tomorrow? Ooh. Oh, Nora says your line work is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Again, I give credit to Kyle's brushes as well. He makes it much easier. Really
Eric
does.
says, what's your favorite streetwear brand?
Ooh, wow, that's a good question. I don't really have one particular favorite. Like I love checking out, I love walking through like the Soho area in New York City and just walking into these little boutique stores like Billionaire Boys Club, Supreme, sometimes Stussy. But like in terms of like off the beaten path, there's one place I discovered here actually in San Fran called, I think it's called Tilted Brim. I can't remember the name. And it's like it's in the heart of San Francisco. And he's got some like really cool sort of tees, jackets, hats. I'm getting more into hats since I've been balding. And I also, there's a place in Greenpoint, Brooklyn called Coat of Arms. And they'll have some really cool like graphic shirts and whatnot too.
Cool.
Stuff like that.
Okay, great tips for your next shopping adventure.
Yeah.
So we'll see everyone tomorrow. Thank you everyone for joining. We had a great time, and we'll be back with Adobe Draw. We'll be filling in color, and we'll be excited to talk to you again.
All right, cool, guys. It's been a pleasure. Until next time.
Bye.